everybody, it is Maddie here and welcome to another speed build. This is a little bit of a cheeky speed build because, to be honest, I have already filmed all the videos for this week, but I just had the urge to start building again, and this is kind of an interesting one because the inspirations for this are a little bit different than my normal inspirations for builds. So last week I was in my hometown visiting my parents, and my hometown is a very beautiful old English Tudor town. It is atypical, like beautiful houses, like old crooked street kind of deal. So looking around it, there's lots of inspiration to be had, and I was wandering around there last week with a sketchbook. I was doing a couple of different drawings, just, having a nice time. And then when I came home later, I did a little drawing which I put up on Twitter, of this kind of wibbly wobbly house. I'm not very good at drawing straight lines and buildings, but I just had a lot of fun drawing this little house, kind of inspired by all of the different elements that I'd seen through my hometown. And yeah, it was a really fun little drawing to do. And then I think it was Jessica Tidwell on Twitter. She's one of my viewers here, so hi if you're watching. She suggested that I could do this as a Sims build, and it was something I'd already considered before, just because when I was drawing this at my parents' house, it was mainly because I didn't have the Sims with me, and at this point it was like when I just started releasing all of my Sims videos and I was getting really inspired to keep making them, and I couldn't. So instead of making houses in The Sims, I thought I would draw some. And now here we are, a week later, doing that house in The Sims, and I think that's a really interesting way of doing it. I don't think I've seen anyone else draw and get their inspiration from a drawing, but it was a really fun challenge, really, because obviously there are some things that we can't do in The Sims that you can do in drawing, but I think we gave it a good shot. I reckon this is actually one of my favourite exteriors that I've ever done, and that's just because I guess I gave myself the time to really challenge myself to do it. This is only the exterior build. We don't actually do anything on the interior. If you would like me to try out some more kind of traditional stuff on the interior, I think that would be really nice. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to do it, where you almost don't think of yourself doing the interior until you are fully done with the exterior, and then you can kind of make up all the kind of storylines from the exterior of the house. I think the other really big challenge for this build was the roofing. I am usually a person who thinks of roofing last, or thinks about it a little bit but not really super interesting stuff, whereas obviously when you have a bit of reference, a little bit of kind of knowledge of, because I was specifically looking in my hometown at all the different roofs, and you really do get some higgledy-piggledy roofs, which, by the way, I love that word, if you can call it one word, higgledy-piggledy. It really is so many different ways of doing roofs, and I think that's why I struggle, because there's no right way, there's no wrong way, but when it's not referenced, I think sometimes it can just look really random. If I'd have tried to do this kind of roofing and I hadn't known that this is kind of how a lot of the roofing works in my hometown, I would have been oh, this might look a little bit wrong. But I think in the end it actually works out the best, because it just there's something quite unique about it. And yeah, it really taught me a lot to kind of be patient with roofs, I guess, is my main thing. Just kind of, make it work. We've got so much stuff now for The Sims 4, comparatively to Sims 1, where I think it was auto roof. And I can't really remember what you could do in Sims 2, but we've got so many more options to do these kind of things. So I think it's worth taking some time to really make it look good, and yeah, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. We do change up some shingles. I think I make it even darker in the end. It takes me a while to get there properly, but when it does get there, it looks nice. Also, the other thing that we couldn't quite do correctly is all of the different stoneworks. In the actual image I was looking at, it was kind of like speckled stones, and they kind of got less dense as you went up the build, and that's the case for a lot of houses in my hometown as well. So obviously we can't do that, so I just went for a kind of half plaster, half stone thing, and I think it looks really nice. We were also trying to add a bit of detail at the top, which we couldn't do. If we had those things in triangles, that would be really fun. I can imagine Simmers doing lots of fun stuff with that. We do use that nice kind of iron railing thing though, which I think works nicer than the little balcony that we did have. But in the end, I just used, for that detail, I just used a bit of the kind of detailed wood wallpaper, which I think looks nice. Then doing some little crawling up ivy, I suppose. What's this called? Vines? Draped vines? Oh my goodness, my brain has just gone dead, as it usually does when I'm trying to think of useful things to say. But this always reminds me of one of my other favourite builders in The Sims, especially The Sims YouTube community, is Hattie Sims. Her videos of her builds especially, I mean, she's doing a really cool Let's Play at the moment as well with witches, but her builds are something else. They are so beautiful. So if you do like builds, I would recommend going to check her out. She does some really creative stuff, and yeah, I really enjoy watching her. But whenever I do these kind of vines on houses, I always think of her because she does a lot of that kind of stuff. Adding in a lot of little bushes here. In the drawing, I get quite messy with my like little bush drawing, so I wanted the whole thing to give that kind of messy, maybe a little bit unkempt vibe, but still very beautiful and lush. I think that suits the surroundings as well. We look out at the view in it, like in one of the screenshots, and you can really see the surroundings. We're in Windenburg at the moment, if you didn't recognise it, and it is just, it's gorgeous. Like, can I live here, please? That would be so nice. We also add this little room at the end here, which isn't, it kind of peeks out in my drawing, but it was actually a mistake. But I thought I would add it anyway because we'd try to keep as accurate as I could. But it actually ends up being really nice. We had like a nice little window there, inspired by another building that I saw in my town that I drew. Because there was a window that was like surprisingly similar to what I was trying to draw. It was very weird how that just happened. But yeah, I think this is when the roof kind of takes its most shape. I think we stay with that like darker roof in the end. We have that chimney on there, the little spiky things. What are they called? I don't know. And yeah, I think it just all comes together. I love this build. I would love to put like a family in here. So yeah, I really would like to do the interior, I think, and make it a little bit more farmhousey, traditional. I think that would be really fun. So do let me know if you would like to see that also. The other thing I was saying was that doing the park build, I think, gave me a lot of reference for what looks good and what doesn't look good in landscaping. And even though like I really enjoyed that park build, even watching it back now, I'm like, oh, I might do this differently, I might do that differently, which is good. It shows that I have already progressed literally since about a couple of days ago. But I think it's good. I think I now have a little bit more understanding of what I want to do. We use this gorgeous arch window. That's the one I was talking about that was inspired by another building in my hometown. It's just really pretty. But yeah, the landscaping in this house, even though it's small because we only have like a small area, it works better than I've ever seen any of my landscaping work before. Adding in those little flowers around the tree stumps, I think really make it look more realistic as well, because if you did like cut your grass around the area, you would probably leave the tree stump like you just leave it uncut. There we go, get my words out. Adding in lots of little potted plants. You might have seen me do a bit of resizing objects as well. You can use your square bracket keys to move objects up and down, like as in you can size them up and down. You can also move objects up and down by using the 0 and the 9 keys on your keyboard. I think you have to turn the bb.move objects cheat on, which is if you open up your cheat box using Control-Shift-C, I believe it is, and type in bb.move objects, then you can move objects anywhere you like. It's so refreshing to be able to just do that, and it really opens up a whole new way of building if you don't do that already. Adding in some cute little gnomes, a little like rabbit thing. I love that little rabbit. I quite often put him in my gardens. I think he's so sweet. We also put in this little overgrown, what would it be, like a fountain? I think that's really nice. I've never used it in a build before, but it must have come with Get Together, I'm imagining. Oh no, maybe the garden one actually. Yeah, it was probably the garden romantic garden? Was that really what it was called? I've already forgotten. Oh dear. People were asking me, Hattie especially was asking me what packs that I have, and I have all packs and expansions for this game, oh dear, other than spooky stuff, which came out kind of around by the time I would have got it, it would have been October, would have been over. And what was the other one? Just like the kind of collector's edition thing, which had a couple of different stuff in it. But yeah, everything else I own, which is kind of naughty of me, like spending money, but it's just hard not to when you've started, and like especially as they come out fairly regularly, you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself to this like every other month or so. But yeah, the only one I would say that I regret buying, if I'm gonna talk down on one, is probably the party. There was like a fancy party pack like right at the beginning, and when I got that, I realized that I think I bought that like, I think it was one of the first or second packs there was, and I realized how little of that pack I ever use. It's all a bit more for their like fancy builds and fancy sims, which I don't really do. I go for much more realism and much more like casualness. But so yeah, that's the only one that I think I'm like, not worth it. The rest I love. Looking at the back of the house now, I think it works out really nicely actually. It's probably the first time I really paid attention to the back, and I was so determined to make it look nice. Even now I'm just like, it doesn't look that good. But I add a couple of windows at the bottom there. I should take that door out and just put all of those windows at the bottom, and I think it looks real nice. So I think we're going to go to some screenshots now. You get to see it in all the different times of the day, which I think it looks really nice. We also added a little lantern in off screen because I forgot to put it in, so when it goes to the dark, it just looks a little bit more lit up. I also add some lighting on the inside as well, just so you can kind of see what you're working with. Just some really nice shots here. I'm really pleased with the way this looks. Just in general, it looks so like family friendly. Little gnome there, classic little gnome. Obviously we don't have any interior shots, so just really getting to dwell on those exterior. There's a nice looking back. And there's like a gorgeous shot of all of the surroundings there. Like, doesn't that just look gorgeous? And right at the end here, I thought I would just put a little kind of comparison picture to see how close we got. I think we did a pretty good job, to be fair. I think I did as good a job as I could. Tell me what you think, and thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys soon.